Okay, so let's talk about something that just shouldn't exist. We're going to dive into the incredible story of a temple that really defies all explanation, a monument that kind of forces you to question everything you think you know about ancient engineering.
Right. Let's start with a fact that's going to turn your whole idea of building completely on its head. When you and I think of construction, we think of putting things together, right? Bricks, stones, stacking them up. Well, the Kailasa Temple is the exact opposite of that.
That's right. Seriously, just try to imagine this. You look at a solid mountain of rock, and instead of building on top of it, you decide to just remove everything that isn't a temple. It was literally carved, or maybe a better word is unbuilt, right out of a single solid piece of the earth.
You know, History TV 18 called it an utterly beautiful creation of pure genius, and that just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that sense of awe you feel. But that quote also brings up a huge paradox. How could something so perfect, so detailed, be created over 1,200 years ago with what we'd call pretty basic tools?
And this is a big part of why it's so mind-blowing. It is the world's largest monolithic structure. Let that sink in. One single rock. That means there are no joints, no mortar, no blocks cemented together. It's just one continuous, colossal sculpture.
And to create this single piece, the artisans had to excavate an absolutely unbelievable amount of stone. We're talking about 400,000 tons of rock that had to be chipped away. To give you some perspective, that's like carving away 40,000 full-grown elephants. It's just a staggering amount.
So, how on earth do you even begin to wrap your head around a project on this scale? Well, to really get the genius behind it, we've got to break it down a bit. Let's start with the basics.
Okay, so this temple is actually Cave 16, and it's the undisputed crown jewel of the Ellora caves. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's dedicated to the Hindu god Lord Shiva, and it's meant to be a replica of his home in the Himalayas, Mount Kailash. And here's a crucial detail. It's carved from volcanic basalt, which is a 6 on the hardness scale. That is incredibly hard stuff to carve with any kind of precision. So, you've got to be asking, who in their right mind would even attempt a project like this, and why? Well, history gives us one answer, but a really captivating legend gives us another, and together they build this incredible origin story. So the hard evidence we have, things like ancient copper plates, points to a king named Krishna I. He was a really powerful ruler from the Rashtrakuta dynasty, and these guys were a big deal in the region, known for their passion for amazing art and architecture. This temple was basically their masterpiece.
But there's another story, a much more dramatic one, from an old text. It tells of a queen whose husband, the king, was gravely ill. She made a desperate vow to Lord Shiva. She would fasting until she could see the shikhara, that's the top spire, of a brand new temple. Well, the king recovered, and suddenly he was on an impossible deadline.
And this is where the legend gets really cool, because it might just explain the temple's most revolutionary feature. The story goes that an architect named Kukasa had a light bulb moment. He said, "Look, if we build from the top down, we can finish the spire first." And it worked. Within a week, the queen saw the shikhara, she could finally end her fast, and in the process, a whole new way of building was born.
Now here's the kicker. That top-down idea from the story, that wasn't just a clever plot point. It was the real revolutionary engineering technique they used, and it's what sets the Kailasa Temple apart from pretty much every other rock-cut structure on the planet. Let me break it down for you. Most ancient rock temples are made using the cut-in method. It's like hollowing out a cave, right? You start from the cliff face and you carve your way inside. But Kailasa used the cut-out method. They did the complete opposite. They carved away the entire mountain around the temple, leaving this unbelievable freestanding building right in the middle of a giant pit. And the process itself is just pure genius. They started by cutting 3 huge trenches down into the mountain to isolate this massive block of stone. Then they started carving from the top, working their way down. And here's the brilliant part. This meant they didn't need any scaffolding. The rock they were standing on was their platform. It also meant that different generations, fathers, sons, grandsons, could all work on different levels at the same time.
Okay, so whenever you have an achievement this out there, this far beyond what seems possible for its time, you're going to get some mysteries. And of course, you're going to get some pretty wild theories to go along with them.
So let's start with the biggest head-scratcher, the missing rock. Remember those 400,000 tons of rubble? Where is it? There's no giant pile of rock next door, no man-made hills in the area. It's just gone.
Rock on that scale doesn't just vanish.
And then you've got the timeline. Some calculations suggest this whole thing was done in just 18 years. If that's true, you'd have to remove over 5 tons of that super hard rock every single hour, 24/7, for 18 years straight. With just hammers and chisels, for a lot of people, that math just doesn't add up.
So you can see why people's minds go there, right? When the logistics seem impossible, you start to wonder maybe it wasn't just humans with basic tools. It's not surprising that theories about ancient aliens with advanced tech or some kind of supernatural help have popped up to try and explain it.
But as amazing as those theories are, the real story of human ingenuity here might be even more mind-blowing. Because what if this wasn't an unexplained miracle, but actually the result of centuries of accumulated human knowledge and skill?
See, the thing is, Kailasa didn't just appear out of nowhere. The people who built it had been practicing right there in the same cliffs for generations. You can see the progression. The other caves at Ellora, they were like the warm-up acts. They were learning, experimenting, and perfecting their skills, all leading up to the main event, Cave 16.
And they had some seriously clever tricks up their sleeves. They weren't just banging away with brute force. They were using physics. A technique called hydraulic expansion was likely a huge part of it. You cut grooves, pack them with dry wood, and pour water on it. The wood swells with incredible force, cracking the hard rock exactly where you want it to. It's genius.
And what about all that missing rock? Well, the most logical answer is, it's not missing at all. Think about it. Why would you throw away 400,000 tons of perfectly good, pre-quarried stone? You wouldn't. You'd use it to build villages, forts, other structures nearby. It wasn't missing, it was just repurposed.
So when you peel back all the layers of myth and mystery, what you're left with is something that's honestly even more astounding. It's not a monument to aliens. It's a monument to the limitless potential of human planning, skill, and sheer dedication.
I mean, it is the whole package. It's a deeply spiritual work of art, with breathtaking sculptures covering every single surface. It's an engineering miracle that still has experts scratching their heads. And more than anything, it's this timeless story of human achievement, literally carved in stone for all of us to see. And that really leaves you with one big final thought, doesn't it? The Kailasa Temple isn't just some relic from the past. It's a challenge. It forces us to ask, if they could pull this off over 1,000 years ago with what they had, what's our excuse? It makes you wonder what incredible things we're truly capable of.